I know I just made a video on the Pistons a couple days ago, but I feel like I have to make another one after tonight's game against the Celtics, because this is getting to the point where it's starting to go, oh, what can the Pistons do? Because they are not very far away from the 4 seed and home court advantage in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. At this point, they've won 8 games in a row. They absolutely wax a defending champion Celtics team tonight in a game that I just didn't expect them to win. I mean, as good as they've played, this isn't a game you expect them to win. Certainly not in dominating fashion, outscoring the Celtics by 20 points in the second half. Just not when you expect against the Celtics team that was pretty much entirely healthy. Jaylen Brown didn't play tonight. Besides that, everybody else played, and Cade Cunningham has 21, 11, and 4. Jalen Duren with 13 and 11. Marcus Sasser, contributor off the bench. Malik Beasley was awesome off the bench with 26 points on 10 of 15, 6 of 11 from 3. They get a big defensive Ausar Thompson possession or game. He had a stretch in this game where he, in like 4 turnovers, he forced like 3 steals and an offensive foul. It was, the dude is just, he's playing awesome, and I want to talk more about him and how much of an important key he has been to the success of this team as of later on in this video. But they're just getting so many contributions from so many different guys. I mean, Tobias Harris is a plus 13 tonight, scores 16 points, 9 rebounds. Like, they're just getting a ton of different contributions from a ton of different guys. The roster's looking really well rounded and pretty complete. They're extremely well coached. They clearly like each other a lot. That team and that franchise just seems like they're having a ton of fun. The fan base is having a ton of fun. The vibes are just awesome in Detroit. Really, Detroit sports in general. It started with the Lions, and then it was the Tigers last year, and then it was Lions again, and now it's the Pistons. And things are just looking up for Detroit sports in general and for this Pistons team. 8 wins in a row for the first time since 2008. That is almost 20 years ago. 17 years ago was the last time the Pistons won 8 games in a row. This is special stuff for a team that is turning into a special team. I mean, I really don't know how else to describe it, in all honesty. And when you look at the standings, the most impressive part about it is they're a game back of the 4 seed. They are now tied with the Bucks for the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. They've played 59 games, so they've got 23 left to go, and they're 1 game back of the 4 seed, 4.5 games out of the play-in as well at this point. Realistically, they're looking like they're going to absolutely avoid the play-in, and they're looking like a serious threat to get home court advantage in the first round. And I don't see why a series against the Pacers or even the Bucks are series that the Pistons couldn't win. I just don't see why that's not a possibility. I'm not sitting here and saying they're going to win a playoff series this year, and the year is not a disappointment if they don't. Let me preface that first and foremost. If things wind up kind of flaming out for this team this year, and they only wind up winning, I don't know, let's say they slump a little bit towards the end of the year and they wind up with 43 wins and they're only 4 games above 500, and they're the 6th seed in the playoffs and they lose in the first round in 5 or 6 games to the Knicks. It's not a failure of a season, you know what I mean? So I do want to preface first and foremost by saying, even if they don't keep succeeding at this level and keep stunning the world, that's fine. But you know what this team gives me in a weird way is Washington Commanders vibes. I don't know if y'all watch football, but if y'all watched the NFL last year, the Commanders kind of have come out of nowhere. They made the NFC Championship game, and very much out of nowhere had a rookie quarterback and a new coaching staff and just a full reset in a lot of ways in Washington. And they found a camaraderie as a team and a vibes with their fan base, and just so many different things clicked this year. And they went from one of the laughing stocks of the league for really a long time to a serious contender that made a run to the NFC Championship game. The Pistons are almost reminding me of that in a lot of ways. Their resilience and their resurgence has just been so impressive. And I think it starts with a guy like Ausar Thompson. The honest truth is, as great as Cade Cunningham is, he is obviously the most important player on this team, and his high level play has been extremely valuable. But a guy like Ausar Thompson gives you types of things on a court that are just irreplaceable. And I literally don't care that he's shooting 0% from 3 this month. He has not attempted a 3 this month. In fact, he has not been attempting 3s consistently since about mid-January. He has not made a 3-pointer since January the 13th. He's not shooting them anymore. And I think at some point he will start to shoot them again, and likely at a higher percentage at some point in his career. The Pistons have a really good shooting coach in Fred Vinson, and if he can work with guys like Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland to boot and get them turned into just capable, close to league average shooters, those guys are going to be really, really good regardless. But the honest truth is, Ausar is already really, really good. He's averaging for the month of February 13 points, 5.5 rebounds, 4 assists a game, 2.3 steals as well, including 5 steals tonight, 4 steals against the Clippers on Monday, multiple 4, 5, 3 steal games throughout the month of February. And he's also got a 4 to 1.4 assist to turnover ratio. The overall confidence in his game as a scorer has gone way up. He's 66% from the field, which is all from 2-point range here in February. He is playing to his strengths and thriving at it. Shooting the ball more, shooting the ball with more confidence, finishing at a higher level around the rim. Assist to turnover ratio is far better. It was a 1.3 to 1.4 last month. He had a negative assist to turnover ratio in January. He is now at a 4 to 1.4 over the entire month of February, which is not a tiny sample size at this point either. He's a consistent 25 plus minute per game guy who's giving you elite high level defense every single night, creating havoc on the defensive end, forcing turnovers, shutting down opponent teams' best players, and doing so while being efficient and athletic and high value in transition, and being a good playmaker without making a ton of mistakes and turning the ball over to boot. He is turning into a really valuable NBA player. And while he is not quite where a man is as of yet, he is absolutely proving why he was a top 5 pick in the draft and why he is a special talent. And again, only 22 years old, which isn't like, he's not 19, but he's not old either. He's got a lot of room for growth still, a lot of opportunity. He just turned 22. I mean, the kid has got a long career ahead of him and a lot of opportunity to develop into more of a 3-point shooter and develop into more of an off the dribble offensive threat at times. But he's already showing so much growth in his game in terms of his efficiency, his defense, and his playmaking that I am extremely encouraged about the future that he has as a player. His numbers have just increased across the board every month all season after he came back from blood clot issues and admittedly had a very slow start to the year. His just numbers have been substantially increasing for a while now, and especially in February, he has just taken a massive jump and has been a massive part of the success that this team has had as of late. Efficient game after efficient game, high level impact defensively after high level impact defensively. And at the end of the day, this Pistons team is starting to really succeed. I mean, Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley have been 2 of their 3 best players in terms of plus minus, which I think is a huge part as well. The veteran leadership that they've gained from guys like Toby, Malik, and Tim Hardaway Jr., I think is invaluable for a young team that needed some sort of stabilizers. Because I can promise you, a guy like an Isaiah Stewart, or even a Cade Cunningham, as good as he is, those types of young pieces, Jalen Duren, they need guys to watch, guys to mentor them, guys to keep them calm in Isaiah Stewart's situation. And just in general, they need guys who are going to play their role and contribute consistently. Now, Jaden Ivey does have one of the worst plus minuses on this team, but he is an impact offensive guy, and I think to a certain extent this is due to a lot of his minutes being played without Cade on the court and also being played when the Pistons were not as consistently good of a basketball team earlier in the year. Him returning here in the next few weeks will be interesting to see whether or not they can fit him in and add him to where he is able to impact this team even more and improve their offensive punch even more while still maintaining high-level defensive ability. It'll be interesting to see how he fits, but if he fits in effectively and can be the second or third best player on this team, they could be really scary come playoff time because they have enough of a scoring punch with Cade Cunningham and the ability, the threat that Jaden Ivey is, and all these wing shooters and versatile guys. And then you have your impact defensive players like Asar and Ron Holland. Now, Ron Holland has the worst plus minus in the team right now, not even particularly close. And so does Simone Fontecchio, who's second worst. I just think Ron Holland at this point is not totally comfortable enough on an NBA court. He has a lot of potential athletically and defensively as well, but I just don't feel like there's a confidence with his jumper as well. And I'm not sure he's really in a position where he's able to impact the game as a playmaker and a connector and a defender quite like Asar can as of right now, but he's got a lot of potential. Fontecchio, I thought would be better for them than he has been. He just hasn't been quite efficient enough from 3-point land to make up for the fact that he's just not an elite defender. I mean, he's not an atrocious defender, but he doesn't seem to give you a ton of value on either end of the court this year. I think he's a guy who's kind of going to fall out of the rotation come playoff time. And I mean, the realistic truth about this team is even without Fontecchio, even without Ron Holland in the rotation, this is a team that with Jaden Ivey back would have Cade, Jaden, Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, Marcus Sasser. That's what, an 8-9 man rotation right there. That's a legitimate rotation with playoff caliber guys. And Dennis Schroeder as well, who didn't play tonight. Another guy who's played poorly in Detroit and played poorly in Golden State before that as well, but was awesome last season and was awesome early this year for the Nets. If they can get him playing at a higher level as a backup point guard, the sky is the limit for this team. I'm not saying they're winning a title this year. I think that'd be an unrealistic expectation, but I think they could win around in the playoffs. And the fact that they have shown this much growth from a team that at this point in the year last year had like 7 wins is just extraordinary. It truly is. It is special stuff from a special team. And we just haven't seen anything like this in a while. A turnaround that is this quick and this dramatic. Shout out to JB's DeBicker staff. Shout out to this roster and this team for buying in together and playing at this level. And I'm excited to see if they can keep it going into the playoffs. And who knows, maybe they can make a run. Never say never. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.